All right, 5 minutes after 10 o'clock. Thank you for tuning in. It's Friday, and you hear that music. It means John Sotomayor must be in the room. This is Ocala Magazine Radio, and John is your host. He's also the executive editor of Ocala Magazine and brings us a great show every Friday. Good morning, John. How you doing?
Great, Larry. How are you?
Pretty good. Good to see you. Nice day today, huh?
It's a beautiful day, and we have a great show, like you said. We are following up with our great show on the Women of Influence we did in May.
Ah, right.
Yes. June, we had covered the Men of Influence, and we had 17 different men to profile, all different backgrounds, contributions to the local area, including philanthropy, capitals of business, just raising the bar for everyone and making this place a better place to live.
That's cool.
Yeah. So today we have 2 of the 17 guests, and they're going to represent. I don't know how many guests we're going to bring overall through the next few weeks. So we'll do as many as we can. But with me today, I'm happy to introduce Al Dunlap. Al, good morning.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
And we also have George Mathis III. George?
Good morning.
And both of these gentlemen are capitals of industry. Al has a distinctive background. He was a former CEO of the second largest conglomerate in the world. That was Scott Paper. Is that correct?
I merged Scott with Kimberly-Clark, which created the second largest consumer products company in the world after P&G.
Absolutely. And also George, he's the first vice president of investments at Raymond James. He handles financial planning, wealth transfer strategies, and estate planning. And both men are philanthropists in our local area.
Yeah, awesome. Good job.
So I'd like to start with Al. Al, please give us a little bit of your background, your career before retirement, and your worldly endeavors.
Well, you know, I was born a poor inner city kid whose mom only went to 6th grade and dad only went to 9th grade. But my mom instilled in me the importance of athletics and the importance of education. And I ultimately got 3 scholarships, Brown University, Dartmouth, and I went to West Point. And when I graduated from West Point, I was a qualified paratrooper. I was executive officer of a nuclear missile site. And then I, during the course of my career, was chairman, chief executive of 9 major corporations, ultimately over 3 continents, and I wrote a New York Times best-selling book, Mean Business. So life has been very interesting. It was an unbelievable ride.
Absolutely. Well, tell us about the climb from West Point, because that was actually a pivotal point for you with sports, and that kind of set your philosophy on life. Tell us about that.
Yeah, I feel very, very strongly about sports because, quite frankly, we were New Jersey Group 1 state champions. I got New Jersey Hall of Fame. If it were not for sports, I never would have went to college. We certainly couldn't afford it. But sports got me the scholarship. Sports got me the opportunity to go to West Point, which is an extremely challenging institution.
Yes, it is.
The happiest day of my life was when I graduated, and there were many days I didn't think it would happen.
And your business endeavors, tell us about the different companies briefly that you worked with.
Well, when I got out of the service, I first went to work for Kimberly-Clark, the large producer of facial tissue, diapers, and feminine protection. I worked shifts for about 2 years in the mills, but built a great base. And then after that, I ended up working for Sterling Pulp and Paper, American Can, Lily Tulip, the Cup Company, Scott, in Europe, Anglo Group PLC, in Australia, Consolidated Press Holdings, one of the finest media empires in the world. So I had a very, very diverse background.
And it was captured in depth pretty much in every publication around the world, including People, Fortune, Florida Trend, and other Nightline talks like Dateline, Nightline, Pinnacle, and other TV shows. So you've had a stellar career in business.
You know, it's been interesting that this poor little inner city kid could have rose to that level. But now I've reached the pinnacle. I've been in Ocala Magazine.
Awesome. And not only on, but on our cover.
Yes,
on the June cover.
They were looking for an extremely handsome person, and I qualified.
There we go. And Al, throughout your endeavors in the past, in your career, you've met a lot of interesting people. In our report, we covered Ronald Reagan, Lord Rothschild, Mikhail Gorbachev, Arnold Palmer, Bobby Goldsboro, Donald Trump, Justice Clarence Thomas, Muhammad Ali, Prince Charles, Princess Diana, and Margaret Thatcher. That's just a few. Tell us about these people that you've met and what it was like.
Well, you think about these people who are world-class people, and you think, gosh, if I'm going to meet them, this is going to be very stiff. But quite the contrary. I remember I'm going to have dinner with Prince Charles, and my wife and I said, oh, I don't know how this will go. So we get there, and I said, Your Royal Highness, it's very nice to be with you for dinner tonight. I said, I see you driving around London in your green Jaguar. And he says, yeah, you really can't go anyplace anymore, can you? And he started laughing, and it broke the ice, and it was a great evening. I was going to meet Maggie Thatcher, who I thought was a fantastic world leader. So I'm going to be on my best behavior. I said, Lady Thatcher, it's so nice to be with you tonight. She said, Al, call me Maggie. Well, she didn't look like Maggie. She looked like Lady Thatcher. But I said, okay, Maggie. I said, Maggie, I heard you wrote a book. She said, I heard you wrote one too, Al. Let's swap. And here was this giant on the world stage who couldn't be better. And my favorite person was Sir James Goldsmith, the Anglo-French billionaire. He was the third richest man in the world at that time and the most brilliant human being I ever met. So he meets me and he wants me to take over his global empire. And we agree, and then he says, always call him my dear boy, very British. My dear boy, this will be a great relationship. And I said, yes, Sir James, I believe so. He says, no, you must call me Jimmy. I said, yes, Sir James. He said, no. He put his arm over my shoulder. Jimmy. So I said, okay, Jimmy.
And you now have decided to make philanthropy your life. You and your wife, Judy, have contributed to various organizations, including FSU, the Mayo Clinic. You have an estate with lots of farmland for rescued animals. You help underprivileged children in the area and also the sheriff's office. Tell us about some of the philanthropy that you do for the local area.
Yeah, as I said, I look back on my meager background, and I've had a certain level of success in my life. So my wife said to me one day, why wait till we die? Why don't we start giving back now? And I thought that'd be a great idea. Along the way, we got involved with Florida State University. I was on speaking tour, most of the big Ivy League schools, and someone said, would you speak at FSU? And I said yes, and we spoke there, and I was very impressed. So we built the Albert and Judith Dunlap Student Success Center, the first of its kind. It's a 50,000 square foot building, teaches leadership, community service, and helps the kids get jobs. And then we built the practice fields, which that one bad season, I said to Bobby, it's all right if you ruin the grass, I'll get you more. And our latest endeavor is we're building a big new indoor field house, one of the finest in the nations, because, if there's lightning in the air or rain or something, you have to cancel practice. Plus, it's a great recruiting tool, and that'll be opened up, I believe, in August or September. We're very much looking forward to that. And Mayo Clinic, where I've had service there, I've had medical care. They are fantastic. And my wife also comes from a very poor family, and we decided we'd like to do something for her mother, who died recently. And in conjunction with Mayo, we built the Albert and Judith Dunlap Cancer Center with Mayo in her hometown, which is not that far from Rochester, Minnesota, where Mayo is located. And we have a little garden outside, and we call it Ginny's Garden, because her mother was Virginia, and she liked the garden. And then most recently, we've given a very famous sculpture to Mayo in Jacksonville. And what it says on the plaque, it says, to Albert and Mildred Dunlap, who gave their son all the chances in life they never had. And I'm particularly proud of that. And animals. I love animals. We've had German Shepherd. We've had at least 2 German Shepherds in our house for 17 years. I love the breed. And we love animals in general. We also have a cat. So we have over 100-acre farm, all devoted to rescue animals. Every animal.
What kind of animals are there?
Well, we have horses, we have cattle, we have donkeys, we have sheep, and we have goats. All rescue. They will live there their whole life. They will have the best care I can give them. And when they first come, they're kind of undernourished. They're a little afraid, but after about 4 or 5 weeks, you can pet them, and they look great. And it gives us great satisfaction. Also, we're very interested in underprivileged children. And with the sheriff's department, every Christmas, we have it chosen first 100 children who really are not from privilege, and we bring them out to the sheriff's station. We have a big lunch, we have a movie, we have clowns, we have big bags of gifts, and then they go out with the canine dogs and the horses and the helicopters, and they all come very downtrodden. But when they leave, they have a little sparkle in their eye. And I would say, of all the things we do in life, that gives us the best feeling, because coming from that background, and we're also, because we're very interested in dogs, we've furnished about 3 dogs to the canine unit. One night I came home, and there was 2 sheriff's cars, and the lights were on and everything, and I thought, oh my God, what's happened? So I walk up to the one deputy. I said, what happened? He said, oh, we just wanted to come out and show you the last dog you donated just made his first big arrest. So I was relieved.
That's fantastic. Well, thank you so much, Al, for sharing your stories and your experiences. Larry, this is exactly what we're talking about when we're talking about men of influence. Yeah. You know, stories where people come and make something of their lives to begin with, do something with their career that's outstanding and making a difference, and then in the end giving back to the community and making a difference that way for other people to also help improve their lives and make their lives better. And likewise, we have George here, who is very similar to Al in many ways. He's also done very similar accomplishments. George, tell us about your background, your occupation, your family, and your endeavors with charities.
Well, I've lived in Ocala for a little over 20 years, and first let me just go ahead and say that I'm honored and very humbled to be sitting here with Al, because I'm very inspired by his story and some of the things that he's accomplished in life. But it's very inspiring to see someone that does that themselves and really goes out and loves to give back. But I've been in the area a little over 20 years. I moved down here from Atlanta. I'm originally from Miami. I don't really have any family here or anything, but I do have my businesses here. I love Ocala. I love the area. It's actually one of the only small towns I've ever lived in my life, but I really get a good sense of community and feeling of home here, which I really love. I have a Raymond James office out in the Villages. I actually started the Raymond James office that's out there. They currently had one in the Ocala area, and we started about a year and a half ago. We are now building a new office in Brownwood, which is the new square area out there. I also have a couple of other businesses as well. I've just recently bought a limousine company. I have a real estate company. Luxury Concepts. Right now, we just got it started, I think, in February. Mostly what we've done is try to give back a lot to the charities. We've donated limousine services and such. I think we're going to be picking up, you mentioned FSU, I think we're going to be picking up Jimbo Fisher for the FSU support thing, the golfing outing that he does here. We're going to be picking him up as well. But overall, I'm really just trying to give a little bit back to the community that has helped create some of the businesses that I have, and hopefully at some point or another achieve Al's level of success.
You're already on your way. Like Al, you've traveled all over. You're an avid traveler, and you've experienced a lot of different cultures, and you take a lot back from it. Tell us about some of your travels.
Well, one of the things, my father unfortunately passed at a very young age. He was a reasonably successful engineer, and unfortunately at retirement he was diagnosed with cancer. He had been retired for about a year and a half, got diagnosed with cancer, and unfortunately passed away about 6 months after. I hate to sound so melodramatic, but truly on his deathbed, some of the advice that he gave me was that you can have all the successes in the world, but there's certain things in life that you can't have taken away from you, and it's family and experiences of travel and experiences in life. So I made it a point to start traveling and seeing the world. I think that it's unfortunate that some people don't get the opportunity to see other, how other people live, experience other cultures, experience other areas, to realize how fortunate we are truly in the U.S. I recently came back from a trip to Africa in November, and it really opened your eyes to see how privileged we are and the opportunities that we have when you see individuals have to carry fresh water for 6 miles just to have fresh drinking water, when you see individuals having to wash their laundry in mud puddles on the side of the road, it really opens your eyes. When you see that kids are willing to walk 3 miles just to go to a school that has dirt floors and they're having to use recycled papers to write on, and they're using whatever utensils they can have. So one of the points last year was actually the 10-year anniversary of my father passing, and I made it a point to go to 10 different countries last year, sort of in his honor, and you know, to solidify the advice that he gave me. So I really want to make up for lost time, so I visited 10 countries last year.
Not only have you traveled, but you've actually made a difference in their lives over there. When I interviewed you and you told me about your trip, you said that you were so moved by the experience over there that you donated money for them to get cattle and food and livestock, and the princess of the tribe was so honored that she rewarded you in her way. Tell us about that story.
Well, we got to get involved with some of the indigenous tribes. The Masai Tribe, actually, we got to go into the villages, go into the huts, really see how they live, hang out with them truly for a couple of days. You know, a lot of the tribes are there's not much modern features there. A lot of the huts are actually made from elephant dung. Some of the newer tribal members are actually going to school and trying to get educated. They want a better life. They're striving for a better life. I actually got to go into, and it was actually an all-ladies tribe, which a lot of the women don't have the rights that most, you know, the men do over there. They're still really dated as far as the way they look at things. I got to go in. I got to visit the schools and such, and cows and goats are almost like currency over there.
Right.
They actually have, you know, a lot of uprisings and stuff simply for cattle poaching and things like that from the different tribes. So when I went in there, yes, I donated money to buy a herd of goats and livestock for the tribe, so that they, you know, could feed and barter with their children and stuff, and create you know, a happier existence for themselves.
And you also continue that good deeds here in Ocala. You work with many charities that we've listed here in this report. Tell us about some of those.
Well, one of the ones I'm very proud of is the Jacob Casey Foundation. Jacob Casey was one of the 5 gentlemen that were unfortunately lost their life in the accident at Jumbo Air, the car accident. He happened to be a son of one of my dearest friends, Brian Casey. Jacob was a wonderful, wonderful boy. He very much a yes sir, no ma'am kind of Southern gentleman. Very much a scholar athlete. He excelled in both his education and his athletics. So we started a foundation to honor him. That we do several events throughout the year to create scholarship money for student athletes that you know, may be struggling for the gaps in between maybe a full scholarship and some of the things that they don't have. So they have to have, you know, an excellent GPA and give back to their community. Also be an athlete as well. So
another important charity to you is the American Cancer Society, for obvious reasons.
Well, obviously because of my father's passing of cancer, you know, the American Cancer Society is huge to me. We do several events. We sponsor many of them. We recently did the Cattle Barons Ball, which was for the American Cancer Society. I actually took I believe about 8 clients that actually just had survived cancer, and we took them to there, and obviously had the limos pick them up and make a nice evening for them. So that was really nice. We do several of the golf tournaments and such throughout the year. And another one that's pretty important to me is the homeless children's charity that we do out in the villages. It's actually done by a client of mine. It's called a backpack scramble that we do every year, and it is to raise money. And I recently picked up CVS to start donating. One of the main reasons that children don't go to school is simply because homeless children don't go to school is because they are ashamed of their own hygiene. So we collect shampoos, conditioners, toothpaste, most toiletries, clothing, and donate them to the homeless children of Marion Lake and Sumter County.
That's fantastic. And there's a whole slew of other charities just like Al that you contribute to. But I want to change gears a little bit. Another reason why I find you very influential and we ask you to be men of influence is because of your lifestyle. We've traveled together. We've been to Greece and Turkey together, and I've gotten to know you here in Ocala as well. if I can use one character in my life to describe you, I consider you kind of like James Bond.
Wow,
where you wear the
big shoes to fill.
You wear the tuxedos, you drive the nice car, you have a fantastic travel life, and people kind of gravitate to you. We've been into some of the casinos, and it was a lot of fun. But you take that from what your dad told you about your experience, like live life to the fullest, and you really do. You've gone with some clients shark diving and skydiving. You've even done a aerial kind of a maneuvers in Nevada that's very left for military, I think. Tell us about all these adventures you do.
Well, one of the things I never want to get to a point in my life and look back on it and say, or listen to someone else tell me about some of their adventures that they did, and I said, boy, I would have liked to have done that. And I really get that not only from my father, but some of my clients. I had been skydiving many, many times, and I had a client that was, it was a very interesting story. I had a client that was 75 years old, and he was sitting across from me, and unfortunately his wife had passed the year before. And he was sitting there talking, he said, boy, he would have really loved to have gone skydiving, at some point. And I said, well, what's stopping you from doing it?
Right.
He said, oh, well, I'm too old for that now. And I said, are you kidding me? I said, why would you even say something like that? So I told him, I said, his daughters live in Miami. I said, well, I tell you what, I'll take you, and if you're going to go skydiving, we're very fortunate. Skydive Sebastian's actually the second top-rated drop zone in the entire country. And I said, if you're going to do it, go and do it right. Go to one of the nicest places to do it. They actually take you up to about 12,500 to 14,000 feet, and you get to jump out over the ocean.
Wow.
And coast into the land. So I said, if you're going to do it, let's go do it right. I said, as long as you call your daughters and have them confirm that your crazy financial advisor is not trying to kill you, then I said, I tell you what, we'll take you down and we'll go skydiving. We did a Saturday, and the really nice thing about it is we happened to be there. We were very fortunate to get there on a day that another gentleman was there, and he was skydiving as well. He started when he was 75 years old. He jumped once a year, every year from his 75th birthday on. He was 87 years old.
That's awesome.
He had jumped every year for 12 years, so it was a really nice connection and a really nice bond. We've got it all on video, and the client loved it. What I loved even more about that story was about 2 months later, one of the other things he wanted to do was fly a glider. And he had come back and told me that he had gone and done and flown the glider. I'm glad he didn't invite me on that. I preferred an engine in my plane, but he had gone and flown the glider. So, and he actually just recently came back from an African safari as well.
That's a great story.
So it was really nice to go and experience that with clients. But the shark diving, the hot air balloon, there's just nothing I want to not experience in life. I'd rather get my own, inform my own opinion about it. The aerial combat training that we did, we flew some ES-330s, which are some of the fastest, most maneuverable prop planes on the planet. And we got to about positive 8G rolls and negative 4G rolls that we were doing. And it's just basically dogfighting in planes.
Excellent. Yeah. Al, you've jumped out of lots of planes when you were younger. Would you do that again now?
Well, now that I know planes could land, I don't think so. I was a paratrooper, and my mother said to me, son, I thought I told you about planes being able to land.
That's awesome. In our last couple of minutes of the show, I'd like you both to share your message to our listeners. What is the fundamental important lessons that you've learned that you'd like to share? You and I have already talked about this, the importance of having these experiences in life for yourself, just so that you can say that you've done it and not wish you have, living life to the fullest. So what are the lessons that you would share? Al, do you want to go first?
Sure. One of the things that's so important, the only barrier in life you can't get over is the one you put there. When you don't think you can do something, I guarantee it won't happen. As long as you believe it can happen, and challenge yourself. If I listen to all the things people told me I couldn't do, you wouldn't even have me on the show. But I believe challenge yourself, go seek opportunity, and be willing to work. I worked shifts in paper mills and ended up being chairman of the board of the largest paper company. But go out, challenge it, make it happen. Don't accept the norm. Be, like the Marines say, be all you can be.
Right, very good advice. George?
Well, several of the things that you'd want to do is one, find a mentor. I think it's very important, especially for younger business people. Once again, when I look at people like Al, I definitely get inspired of what's possible out there. The other thing is, my philosophy in life is you never get a chance to rewind your day. You never get a chance to rewind any opportunity that you have in life. So utilize it, make the best of it, make the best of the relationships that you create and the bonds that you have over time. But that's just really my biggest message is there's no rewind in life. You don't get a chance to do it over again. Make it count.
Absolutely. Thank you both for being on my show today. It's been fantastic to share your messages and your experiences in life. And for our listeners, I want to
Thank you for having us.
Absolutely. And for our listeners, I'd like to share that these two men are just 2 of 17. We have 15 other men that comprise everything from executive chefs to principals of universities to doctors, sports heroes, and a slew of other things, including entrepreneurs and developers. So for the young men and women out there, because we had the women of influence, go out there and do the advice that these leaders have said. Find a thing that you want to do out there, give it your all, and then make it happen. And find the mentors out there like George and like Al who can help you. That's it for today, Larry. Thank you very much.
Thank you, John. Another great show. We'll take a little break. We'll be right back.
Wanna be your man tonight, Ocala, baby. What makes you look so good? Ocala, baby. What makes you look so good?
Ocala's information station, 1370 WOCA.
Ocala.
ABC News Now. I'm Karen Chase. 6 months to the day after the Sandy Hook school shooting, Gabby Gifford sent condolences to the dads of victims who will grieve this Father's Day in a Newtown, Connecticut newspaper op-ed. She also urged Congress to